YouTube trade season has officially begun. I'm sorry I haven't been uploading. I actually needed to replace this cable for my microphone. My audio was messed up, so I could not upload. But we're back, and shit is happening. Um, and I'm glad that I actually couldn't upload because some stuff broke today, specifically with the Warriors. The Warriors got Chris Paul from the Wizards for Jordan Poole and a first round pick and a couple of seconds. Um, I think overall it's a good trade for both sides for two reasons. One, with Draymond having opted out of his player option, the Warriors really want to re-sign Draymond because without him, they are not a contender. They need his defense. They need his passing. They need him to anchor them. And without him, they have no shot. And if you go under the assumption that Poole and Draymond cannot play together after the incident, that means basically you have to trade one of them or get rid of one of them. In this case, Draymond's more important. Get rid of Poole. So, how do you get rid of Poole? Well, what did Poole bring value to this team that you need? Well, he brought passing, he brought scoring. Okay. Well, Chris Paul is a better passer than Poole. And while he's not as athletic as Poole, I would dare say that he's a better defender and arguably still a better scorer. I would say personally, I think Poole's a better scorer at this point in his career. Um, but Chris Paul can facilitate more and give this team a couple of extra weapons that Poole maybe didn't. He's going to be more consistent. He's going to be a better fit, I think, alongside Steph Curry because he's not going to be bitching all the time, right? At this point, he's 38 years old. If he plays a couple of games off the bench, I don't think Chris Paul is going to be like, I'm not doing that. Like, no way. Like, no, he's going to buy in and try to win because that is who Chris Paul has been his entire career. He's been a winner. He's been a proven guy who wants the team to be the best it can be, and he will do anything it takes to get to that point. Except for stay healthy, but that's kind of not really in his control. Speaking of staying healthy, a trade got blown up. It was a Kristaps Porzingis three-teamer with the Clippers and the Grizzlies, where Porzingis, or sorry, with the Wizards and the Clippers, not the Grizzlies, with the Wizards, that saw Porzingis go to the Celtics. But it got blown up because the Clippers were concerned about Malcolm Brogdon's injury concerns, which, ooh, ironic. Ironic that the Clippers are the ones that are like, I don't know, he's got injury issues. Maybe we shouldn't make this trade. Kind of wild. But as a result of that, in an attempt to salvage the Porzingis trade, the Celtics traded Marcus Smart to the Grizzlies for two firsts and Porzingis. They got rid of Tyus Jones, and the Grizzlies got rid of Tyus Jones. The Wizards got him and a bunch of other shit. And basically, what it boils down to is that the Celtics traded their Defensive Player of the Year for Porzingis, who is arguably good. He's a younger player than Al Horford, and now makes Horford kind of expendable for them because Porzingis is a 4 or 5, whichever he wants to play, because he can play both positions. Who's strong defensively and can spread the floor, and he's younger, significantly younger than Horford, who I think I made a couple of videos over this past year, basically saying, hey, outside of the two, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, the rest of this roster is kind of getting up there in age, and of course Robert Williams, yes, but the rest of them are starting to either exit their primes or have been out of their primes and are going to age out soon. So this is actually a really good trade for the Celtics, I think. I'm somebody who has personally always thought that Marcus Smart's defense was a little bit overrated relative to what people talked about. I didn't think the DPOY that he won really should have been his. That being said, I'm not ragging on Marcus Smart as a player. I think he's a great player, and I think he's a great acquisition for the Grizzlies. I think he's exactly what they needed, and I'll get into that in a second. But I want to focus on the Celtics for a moment. I think Porzingis he's opted into his player option, so he did not get the extension that he was looking for. So it is only a 1 year kind of thing at the moment, right? Because this is the 1 year on his deal. Um, but I think this is a great opportunity for Porzingis to actually be on a team that's competing for something. And it's really the first time that he's been on a team with real championship expectations. I think the Mavericks, when he was on them, he was really expected to be that number two option. And while he had strings of time where he was actually doing really well in that role, the rest of the roster maybe wasn't doing that. And if he had an off game, which let's be real, Porzingis probably isn't the number two on a championship team, the team would over rely on Luka. Which is, and also the injury, he was constantly injured. That's a big part of it. He was constantly injured. He was missing 20 games. He was missing 15 games. And that made having continuity with their play style very difficult. I think it's going to be easier for him to fit into the Celtics roster as it is already built and they already have an identity around which that he can kind of fit into and realize, hey, maybe I can be something part of something greater because they've already made conference finals, they've already made a finals run, and that might humble him just a little bit, so that he doesn't feel like he needs to take a lot of shots. Now, I don't want to make this seem like Porzingis is a massive ball hog because I don't think he is, but these are all things that every player has to go through. Going on to the Grizzlies, I think this is exactly what they needed. If they're not re-signing Dillon Brooks, they need a Dillon Brooks type player. And what I mean by that is they need a point of attack defender who can score a little bit and provide offense. Dillon Brooks was a really bad offensive player, like really bad. I'm kind of shocked he got as much run as far as shooting the ball as he did because boy is that guy trash. And Marcus Smart, while not the best offensive player in the world, he is a massive upgrade at the position, and not only offensively but defensively from Dillon Brooks. He's just better at everything than Dillon Brooks. And the thing that I think is most notable about it is that he's actually a grown ass man who can look at Ja and say, "Fuck you, play the game, stop worrying about this other shit, and play the game." And it's either going to help Ja get over this immaturity that he has consistently shown that he's had through the gun incident, through blah 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 blah, and it will help him get over that, or it will prove to us that Ja Morant is not somebody who has that maturity in him, and he is likely not going to be able to be your franchise player because, in a similar vein of Gilbert Arenas, it is not about the talent, it is not about the ability, it is all about the attitude. And if he doesn't have that attitude, sucks. Um, moving on to some other stuff with Zion Williamson, which is the other thing that I want to talk about. There have been trades rumors with him and the Blazers. The Blazers have reportedly shut down all trade talks around Dame, so they are really targeting Zion, hoping that Scoot Henderson is the pick that they can actually use to garner this trade because the Pelicans have been linked to aggressively wanting that pick. But I don't think they're quite ready to give up on Zion. I think that they have thrown it out there as bait to get people into trade talks, but I don't think it's necessarily realistic. I don't I've heard mixed stuff about it in the media, and I'm not sure quite what to believe myself. Um, Obviously, Zion's going through the baby mama drama of having a stripper and a porn star both fight over who's the bigger hoe, and while funny, it is also sad. And Zion's consistent inability to stay on the floor and remain healthy has proved problematic. Um, I do think that if the Blazers can get Zion, that would be an amazing fit with Dame. However, because Zion doesn't seem to really enjoy being in a small market, I don't know if his overall attitude towards basketball and the game will change. I think the best year so far that we've seen of him was in college when he was with RJ Barrett, who, if you're a New York fan, you know RJ is a workhorse. He is in the gym all the fucking time. He shows up to the gym. He shows up early. He goes all day. He goes back to the basketball gym. He takes up shots and then he goes back to the weightlifting room. Like that is what he wants to do. And that was when Zion was his healthiest. When he was surrounded by teammates that and in a culture that wanted that really had a level of control around him that I think it's harder for now NBA teams to have since he's a multimillionaire. He's essentially a made man at this point. He could do nothing for the rest of his life and be set. So I think all that is extremely relevant to that discussion. And I think overall, my one hope for that is that if that trade does go down, that he remains healthy just so that Dame could get a shot. Otherwise, I really think the Blazers need to trade Dame. It's like, oh, well, now we don't want to trade Dame. We're shutting down Dame trade talks. Like, bro, trade Damian Lillard. Just send him to the Heat, please. Like, I don't even want the Heat to win a title, like, necessarily. I was rooting for them over the Nuggets because I wanted Jimmy and Bam. Like, I like their players, but, like, if I had to pick any team in the league, like, I'm not being like, go Heat. Um, I if I really had to say it, like I'm interested in what's going to happen because this offseason is by no means done just yet. I think the Warriors aren't done. They still need to shore up their big depth. If I mean, there are several teams that I feel like aren't finished, um, and several teams that I feel like haven't even started yet. And I think the draft is going to be an excellent place to start for a lot of these things. And I think we're going to see more and more crazy trades happen. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching the video. I think we are going to hit 50 subs soon, so please hit that subscribe button. I think I've been aiming for 100. I think I want to hit that 50 mark first. I could taste it. And have a wonderful night. Who do you think is going to? Scoot or Brandon Miller? Hornets have been linked to Scoot at 2, but I think that's just posturing in case they want to trade for Zion or BI or whatever. So I think it's going to be Brandon Miller at 2, but I don't really know these young players so much, so we'll all see. Have a wonderful night.